We do have to come up with a different entry sound because this is a side project. It's not coming in sideways because it's not coming in sideways with that book.
Oh yeah,
This is our
yeah.
side
What is this
project.
one? How are people going to access this one? Are we putting it on iTunes?
Well, it's gonna start out on my Google Plus page, and then we'll see what happens.
Okay, so let's start over.
Let's start over. That's a good one, right?
It was good, and you threw Bob in there. Bob like crept in like a monkey.
It's the
That was
only
like
sound I know
Bob
how to
as
make.
that was like chimpanzee Bob. How do you even do that? You're so good at yoga.
It's a yoga thing. It's like a really famous yoga pose
You know who I look like when I do
called
this?
the nerd, the scientist.
Remember
Oh
that?
yeah.
Remember that old lady with the glasses from the old Navy commercials? That's who I
Yes.
look like when I
Wasn't
do
that
this.
Edith Apfel or whatever?
Was it?
I don't know. They look the same. There's only like two old ladies that wear giant glasses, and that's one of those two people.
Oh no, I didn't. That I think is still alive.
Mm. Sorry,
This lady died.
Edith. Edith, friend of the side project. Edith Apfel, friend of the side project. So I wanted to get up and be energetic for this new side project. So I drank a bunch of coffee, but now I have to poop.
I had to poop this morning as well, except I didn't have to poop when I normally do before my shower.
Right.
And I like sat there and I was like, come on, poop, come on,
Come on,
poop,
poop.
come on, poop.
Come on,
Nothing.
poop.
Shower, get ready. I'm on my way down, texting you in the car. When all of a sudden I feel like if I don't get to the bathroom ASAP, I'm gonna shit myself.
Yeah. How did it go? You made it?
Yeah. And then as I got closer to the office, I had to poop less, so I stopped in and I got an omelet.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. So then while the
I
omelet
don't
cooled off my desk, I pooped.
I don't know if I could ever like procure food while having to poop. It just seems like
Oh, me neither. The smell of food would make it worse. This one, I was like, we gotta do this side project in about 25
yeah,
minutes. Need to
yeah.
eat
And
and
then
poop.
so you were just being efficient. Sometimes you have to like just buy food while you have to poop because you need to like get shit done in your life.
Well, have you ever
Can't
thought
always
about
wait.
like days where you have to shit real bad and you're like, what if there was like a national disaster? Would that like erase this feeling of pooping from my head, right? Like let's say you're fucking got turtle heads popping out and you're
Hmm.
driving and then there's like an explosion right in front of you.
Yeah.
Would your biology tell you, okay, you don't have to poop anymore because it's now a fight for survival, like get somewhere safe? Or would you still be like, and
Or do
just
you
continue
just
to shit yourself?
poop? Like,
Yeah.
when shit hits the fan like that, like, does your brain transition away from holding the poop in to just going to emergency mood? And does that mean you just poop? Like I think about
Yeah.
people during the Paris attacks. Like, what if someone was waiting in the bathroom at one of those restaurants and they had to poop? Like, what happens? Do you just poop?
What if, what if you were pooping when it happened and you were like, what is happening out there?
Right. And then you're like, was that
This
my
is when
fault?
my
Is everyone gonna know I'm pooping?
yeah,
That's what I would
this
think.
is when well everyone would have I would have actually probably saved lives had I been at that concert because at a concert as in any open arena, I fart a lot. At the
Yes,
mall,
I know.
like especially if
Yeah.
you bring me to a mall and I'm farting as I
Right.
walk.
And it's like, who would bring
And they're
kimchi
kind
to
of
this mall?
no, but when I fart in a giant vast space, they never smell.
Yeah, that's exactly what everyone thinks about their own farts, Byram. This is the lie that we tell ourselves. Your farts do smell. Yes, they do.
No,
I
when
guarantee they
I
do.
fart in like a giant concert hall or in a mall, they don't smell. They're just air. They're just air escaping my body.
That's
But
keep telling yourself
I
that
would
lie.
have I would have been, and you know what I really love about the Albanian language is that fart, the word for fart is fan. Fan sounds so
That's
nice. It's
so
like, oh,
poetic.
did you make a fan? So
That's
I
like
would
my
be at
mother used
that
to call farts fluffs. Doesn't that sound so nice? It's fluff.
like that.
Isn't that nice?
I would have been at the Bataclan, I guess that's the name of it, fluffering
Yeah.
around, and then all of a sudden
Fluffering
I'm
and
like,
fanning.
I'll see you guys, and I would have been there, and you would have just seen, you know what, like the quintessential like scene of a woman in a bathroom stall where her like she kind of gets like pigeon toed and like her
Yeah.
panties are around her high. That would have been me at the
Yeah.
Bataclan, and I would have been just
Exactly.
pumping farts into the fucking toilet, and then I'd be like, is that noise coming from my ass, or is it coming from up there?
Yeah, and then they would have the terrorists would have come into the bathroom and they would have been like, "Are you pooping in there?" And you would have been like, "Allahu Akbar," and they would be like, "This guy's cool."
You're right.
I know. That's
reminded me that if I'm ever in a terrorist situation, I can just say Allahu Akbar.
Allah
I'm like, oh, you're definitely one of us.
Yeah, they're like, he's cool. He's cool.
You have the face of a marshmallow in a microwave, but we believe you. We guess that you're one of us.
There was this BuzzFeed thing about I'm Muslim and I'm not a terrorist, and there's this one white guy named Tom, and he's like, "Hey, my name's Tom, I'm Muslim and I'm not a terrorist." I'm like, there's already one white Muslim that I know, a Muslim. You're a Muslim. was he a Muslim?
It's like a cartoon character.
I know, it's so cute.
Byram the Muslim was a very jolly soul.
Byram the Muslim. I love it.
Yeah, how's your name Tom and you're Muslim? I mean, I could have had a nicer name like Peter.
Byron. Byron the Muslim. I'm not dangerous, folks. I just like to talk about pooping and farting, just like you.
Oh, speaking of almost shitting yourself.
Oh, God.
Friend of the side project, Jen Savage, who is literally going to shit herself when she finds out we did a side project.
Yeah.
Texted me the other day because she heard the story from our real project coming in sideways.
Yep.
About how I shat all over a flushometer in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess she was listening to the pod that day, and Jen, who I believe has never shat, and I have to believe if she shits, they're little pellets that she just they're little rose-colored pellets.
Yeah, when Jen farts, she just goes, "Pwee!" That's her fart sound.
She flies around a room like a deflating balloon.
Right.
Also, if we ever filmed a movie where we were set in a private school in New England, Jen's name would be like Pwee Vanderbilt.
Pwee St. Constantine or something. Pwee Vanderbilt, totally.
Pwee Vanderbilt.
And she'd be super racist, but it's only because she didn't know any black people when she was growing up. It's not because she's a bad person. She'd be like, "Excuse me, sir, why are you the same color as the wall?"
She has
the beverages.
What is that? Is that a porch steeped? Oh,
it's the hamburger. This is so scary.
Wait, is that an original Hamburglar glass?
Yeah, it's an original Hamburger glass.
That shit's worth money.
The Hamburglar was a rapist. Look at how rapey he is and murdery. Yeah. Ooh. I've seen that guy on Law and Order SVU a couple times.
As soon as you're done with that, fucking put it on eBay. That shit's worth money.
Mm-hmm. We also have there's an actual Ronald McDonald one, and then who's the purple guy? The
Grimace?
Grimace. There's a Grimace one, too.
Why would they leave those out? You could easily break them.
I mean, I use them to drink water out of all the time.
Sell them. Put them on eBay right now. You could probably get about $100 each.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Jen listened to Not Side Project. Mm-hmm. And I guess it inspired her own...
Not side piece, main piece.
Main piece. And it inspired her own bowels, and she had to shit, and both bathrooms were occupied. So she said she was pacing back and forth, and she kept circling none other than friend of the side project and the main piece, Frederique Vanderwall, model from the 90s. She said she was just fucking Dippin' Dots around her. She just kept circling around her because she needed something to do. And this woman was probably like, who is this?
Who is this tiny crop dusting pacer?
Tiny crop dusting pacer.
That would have been a lot of fiber this morning.
When you said tiny crop dusting pacer, I just imagine Jen in like a World War II fighter pilot helmet, preparing for duty. She's like the runt of the troop.
They're like, we need a tiny crop dusting pacer. Who volunteers as tribute? Jen's like,
then you just hear a giant crash, and all the soldiers part, and Jen's back there, and her caboodle of makeup fell to the floor. She's like, I think I'm okay.
And her trapper keeper full of like old Leonardo DiCaprio posters is just lying open, and she's like, I'm so embarrassed. So embarrassed, Patty. Guess what happened to me today?
When she told me the story, I was just shocked that she's ever pooped.
She
Shocked.
poops. She's a good planner about it. She's like, oh, I have to poop, and then like 4 hours later, she finally gets it done. I'm like, I have to poop, and I have to do it immediately.
But you're so good at pooping and being done in like 10 seconds.
I'm gonna get a hernia.
I have to get in the fetal position. I have to light candles. I have to play some Enya.
Yeah.
I have to have the water running. It's a whole birthright for me.
No, it's not. I think it came from growing up with an older brother who he was not in any way sympathetic to my having my poop time. He would just be like, "Oh, you're done now." And we had this like weird bathroom where there was a bedroom and then a door, and then you had to walk through the bathroom to get out of the bedroom. And at one point, Oak lived in that bedroom, and so if I was pooping, he was like, I have to leave," and he would just like walk through, and it was so I could never take a long time pooping. It just wasn't ever gonna happen.
When I was little, my grandmother's house in the Lower East Side had the way the bathroom was situated was it was in its own little nook in the bathroom, and they never replaced the toilet seat on it, and it was cracked. So if you sat down, it would pinch you when you went to get up. So
that's so Albanian.
You would try not to put your body weight on that side of the cracked toilet seat. The only problem was on the other side of the toilet was one of those giant hot pipes that just like brought heat through the building. So you could either like slice your ass,
right,
or you could just burn your arm.
That's amazing.
So pooping has always been trauma for me.
Yeah, me too. And then also in the bathroom where we grew up, there was like one of the 2 space heaters. There at one point we didn't really have working heat. There were just like 2 space heaters. And one of the 2 spacers was like directly in front of the toilet, and so if anybody needed to, in the house needs to be warm, you'd have to be in the same room as the person using the bathroom. So
I would appreciate though having all that heat emanating from my loins.
That's exactly what it was.
Heat projected onto my loins. It
was just the
perfect recipe.
Hot heat. Oh, so gross.
You know what's really funny? I just wrapped up level 301 of improv at UCB.
Congratulations.
And Tuesday was my last class. Our show is on Sunday, but
Sunday
301 is
fucking.
There. No, do not come. It's gonna be so bad.
Coming.
It is gonna be so bad.
Okay.
No. It's gonna. So everyone that I've talked to that's taken 301, literally, 101 is all activities and it's have fun, this is playtime. 201 is activities mixed with a little bit of learning.
Yeah.
301 is literally learning every time you go, so it's not fun and you're not funny and you leave class feeling defeated.
Right.
Everyone that I've run into that has taken a different 301 from my 101 or 201 classes, you see them and you're like, hey, how are things going? And they're like, everyone has that same reaction. And even our teacher told us in our last class, he was like, look, you guys definitely improved, but 301's not a fun class. You're not going to come in here and feel like you were funny every time, right? So yesterday, I don't know if it had to do with all the beer I drank before class. I'm starting to think that for improv, I shouldn't drink before I do improv.
It's funny because I'm starting to think I should drink before I do stand-up.
Really?
That's weird. Yeah. I don't know. When I was in Boston, I had the Boston Comedy Festival, and then I had 2 other shows. The Boston Comedy was Wednesday night, and then I had show Thursday night, show Friday night. Wednesday night, I get a good night's sleep beforehand. I don't drink. I got myself all ready. I was totally prepared. I worked out what I was gonna do. I took it really seriously, and I didn't do that well. I just I think I took it too seriously. And then the next night, I had the show that it was kind of more fun, and I had friends there, and so I had a couple. I had 1 drink before I went up on stage, 1.5 or something, and I did way better. And I think it wasn't the actual drinking; it was how seriously I was taking it. I know that drinking isn't I don't know, whatever, but it was just I took it too seriously.
Yeah, there's something to be said. There's something to be said about when you're really prepared for something. For instance, if you have set plans and you get super excited about them and you wear special underwear,
right?
And fucking get your hair done. You never have a good time. It's always the random shit that's that was the best night of my life.
When you're not showered, you haven't brushed your teeth, you didn't poop. It's just you're oh, this is so fun, but I have to poop.
Or you poop, but you didn't poop all the way, so you have farty poops.
There's a little bit left. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I totally agree with you on that. I think the drinking is not a factor in that. So don't drink the next time you do it. Just be fucking
be chilling.
Have smegma in your eyes or something like that.
Right.
Just
exactly.
Be completely unprepared.
Yeah.
But I've found that when I am not drinking, I'm more engaged in what's happening in improv. And I think the thing that fucked me up this entire 301 as well was that it was the first class I had that wasn't a Sunday morning class.
Oh yeah.
So because it's a night class, I leave work, I have a few drinks, and then I go there. And I think that probably wasn't a good idea. But last night it was, I don't know if, is Mercury in retrograde? Does that only affect women? Because I feel like last night I had
it affects everybody.
I had like a complete communication breakdown. We had a practice group with this woman, Caroline Martin, who's very, very funny. She's been doing improv for like 10 years. She's our instructor, and yesterday's class was a fucking disaster. It's literally a practice group. We pay her like $20 an hour to sit with us for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And she just like takes us through like the same shit our teacher did, but at a cheaper cost.
Yep.
And yesterday we were telling her, like, she's like, look, she's like, go big. She goes, you guys start off at like fucking 20%, like start at 120%. I'll tell you if you should scale it back a little, you know? She's like, go out there and when in doubt, make a poop joke. And I was like, really?
Okay.
Because I've been trying so hard not to do that.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, poop jokes are always funny.
If you do come on Sunday, get ready for me to shit in the audience.
Yay! Parmesan consistently shitting in the audience. I think, I don't know, it's tough. Like the whole energy, I'm just starting to understand like the energy. Like I really need to like start bringing more energy to my performance, but like I don't bring energy to like my real life. So is that even like, I'm practically dead like all the time. So I don't know if it's like realistic for me to like bring a whole bunch of energy on stage. Maybe that's just like my comedic persona is just like Daria.
Yeah, I think that what you could do instead of energy is, because these are the two pieces of feedback that I got, and this is something that like doesn't necessarily apply to everyone. It's specific to what the way I fuck up. I don't have clear intentions, right? So I even got this feedback when I took acting classes where they were like, we have no idea what you're trying to say through your character because you go up there and you're just acting like yourself. I think being yourself works in stand-up comedy because it's you, it's your voice, it's your persona. But like when you're doing improv, like I don't add character to it ever. I could be in any situation. Someone could be like setting up the scene where we're fucking like plantation workers in fucking Georgia.
Right.
And I'm like, hey, what's up? I do like me, right? And I realized that like even when I had gone on auditions, they're like, you're a Scottish police officer in 1920 Chicago. And I'm like, hey guys, like I don't ever think apply it. And also I explain too much. And what I'll say about that is in improv, you want to start at the height of like the action, right? You don't want to start every scene with like, hey, we're gonna be doing this. Right. It's like, hey, we're doing this, like show that you're doing it. And because I don't want to say it's like, I'm trying to think about it. I don't get straight to the point because I build up because I think it cheapens it when you're like, when you explain what's funny about a scene.
Yes.
Right? You kind of like build it up and like infer things so the audience picks up on it.
Right.
But in improv, it takes too long to do that. So if you're setting up something so the audience can find the funny versus just doing what's funny, it's tough. So I think that like improv and stand-up are so different in that regard, you know?
It's true.
I don't know. I never found improv funny. I like my teacher. I think he's funny, but like I never watched like what's that show? Whose Line Is It Anyway or anything?
I actually really like that show.
Really?
Yeah, back when I used to watch it. I don't. Obviously, it's not even on anymore. Is Drew Carey even still alive? Like, I don't even know.
Isn't it Wayne Brady?
Oh, is that who it is now?
I just farted so badly. It's disgusting in here.
Did Drew Carey get gastric bypass?
I think so.
Did he just randomly like lose weight?
No, I think he got gastric bypass. But he still looks like the guy from Up.
Yeah,
right?
He does. It's the ears, I think, is what. I think most importantly, it's the ears that make you look like the guy from Up.
Do people ever tell you look like a celebrity?
No.
I used to never, but now I get fucking James Corden all the time.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And it's not a compliment. It's like people like, I've never understood why people are so free to be like, you know who you look like? And if it's not anyone that you want to have sex with, then don't share it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know what the thing, though? With James Corden, it is a compliment because James Corden is like so fucking funny and like so likable, and you really just like want to hang out with him and be around him, that I think it's more that what people, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass because there's farts coming out of your ass, I don't want to blow smoke up it, but I I'm serious. I think it's like people are commenting more on that than like what you guys actually look like, because you're
No,
way
actually,
more of like a Muslim than James Corden.
I appreciate that, but this was someone who's never met me who added me on
Oh,
Facebook. Yeah,
okay.
they added me on
Never
Facebook because we had
mind.
Facebook friends, and she
Right.
goes, "You know who you look like?" And that was the only message I've ever received from her on Facebook, and I went a
Right.
while without answering it. And then I wrote back, "Hi, I'm Byram. Nice to meet you, whatever." And she
Right.
goes, "Ha ha ha. You know who you remind me of? James Corden." And I was like, "Ooh."
Wow. Yeah, nobody ever tells me. One time, one guy told me I reminded him of Karen Black, who's this like old-timey like softcore porn actress. And so that was nice.
That's really nice.
I know. I don't know who she is though. But more often than not, people are just not assigning me a gender.
You know, I lied about saying James Corden was the only celebrity that I've been compared to. I had a really bad experience in July where I was at this bar, and it was during Ramadan, so I had dropped some extra LBs and I was feeling like really
Mm.
confident. I felt like I was like looking good, and it's summer and we're at an outdoor bar or whatever. And the waitress was like super friendly with us, and the place was crowded, but she gave us like extra special attention, and we kept like tipping her a lot because we were just having like a really great time.
Hmm.
And she goes, "You know who you look like?" And I was just like, I actually told her, I was like, "Don't say it's someone that you wouldn't have sex with," like being playful.
Right.
And she like laughed and she goes, "Seth Rogen." And I was like, "What? That's so fucked
I
up."
don't get that.
I know, but
No.
I literally like there was nothing I could do. I wanted to, I wanted to just throw down my like books at my
Yeah.
locker and just run into traffic. Like I imagine myself in a
Slam
high
the
school
locker
setting.
door behind you and just run into traffic. Pull your AK-47 out of your locker and fucking spray up the library. Which is like that's the modern version of throwing your books in your locker. It's actually pulling a gun out of your locker and shooting up the cafeteria.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one's ever really told me that I look like anybody. I don't know. I think it's because I don't speak to humans and I'm always frowning.
Yeah.
I think Mercury is in some sort. I think also yesterday sucked because it was so rainy. I like
Yeah.
couldn't speak yesterday at all. It was not my best day.
Yesterday, during the practice round, I was a little bit distracted because, like, you know, it had been rainy and I felt like I had a communication breakdown anyway throughout like the entire day.
Yeah.
And then one of the girls in my practice group, I was standing back on the back wall with her while two other people were performing. Have you ever seen Black Swan?
Oh yeah.
You know the part where she like pulls her hangnail and it like pulls all the way up her arm?
Oh
It's one of the
yeah.
most gruesome. I've seen war movies, and that's more
Me
gruesome than like
too.
war movies I've
Yes.
seen.
Exactly.
That's more gruesome than all the Saw movies combined.
All of them.
Anyway, there's this Asian girl in my class whose name is Yu Yu,
Mm-hmm. Of course.
and she's standing on the back wall with me, and she pulls a hangnail, and all of a sudden you just see like her nail, like her cuticle, like fill with blood, and then she just starts like trying to clean it desperately, like she's like sucking. Oh, there go the lights.
Oh, the lights went out. I hate
And it
that.
just kept filling with blood, and I was like, "Ugh." I was getting
Oh,
so grossed out by it, you know.
gross.
And she's just like slobbering, and I guess she's panicking because there's like so much blood coming out. And then I was like, I'm not doing a scene with her because she's gonna have like a
No.
big bloody smile.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh, that's so gross.
no.
It's like exactly what I would have done though. I'm like, why didn't you just go to the bathroom? But I wouldn't have gone to that. Probably would have just tried to eat the blood.
Look, I want to know all this shit.
Wow,
Thank
it's
you.
really dark now.
Thank you, by the way, for my singing telegram from friend of the side project, Matthew K. Broderick.
Oh yeah, wasn't that good?
Yeah.
He came to the show with friend of the pod. I can't remember his name. But they both came to the show and they were really fun. And after the show, they were going to slide off. I think they were talking about sliding off Latino men or sliding off. They were going dancing, and it was just like talking about sliding off sweaty Latino guys.
Isn't Matt in a relationship?
I don't know.
Oh.
But I think he's probably got hoes in different area codes. Have you seen him?
I'm just saying.
That
I
type of
mean,
man's not supposed to stay monogamous.
yeah, I can't blame him. He's fucking gorgeous, but
He's an Adonis. I
yeah.
know.
But I could have sworn he went on a European rendezvous with another man.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
what it appeared.
I go on European vacations with Jen Savage all the time. Doesn't mean we're.
I really do want to do a mediocre vacation one day.
I do
I mean,
too.
we've done them, but I want to do one where like we're in a foreign country.
Let's go to Albania.
Oh, you do not want to go to Albania.
I do want to go to Albania. I've heard so many stories about it. I really want to go.
Liz, the stories you've heard, that's because you're a fucking fearless woman.
There has
Liz,
to be some sort of like Albanian Riviera that we can go to. It's like super. We can get like a super cheap, and there'll just be like cows floating in the ocean. Like that's just how I imagine Albania. Just like some like gross chalet right on the beach with like all the pillows at the chalet have like some face stitched onto them, some like past Albanian leader, and then you go down to the ocean. They're just like dead cows floating in the water.
You just described like the Ganges River, right?
Yeah, I did.
Don't they like
Doesn't
bathe?
the Ganges River go through Albania?
Probably, but don't they like bathe cows in it?
Yeah, I think so. And
Is
then
it
you like
Ganges or Ganges?
Ganges, I think.
Ganges.
Ganges. Ganges.
Ganges. You lived in Italy where they told you to steer clear of Albanians. So
I
of course,
did.
Of course, the rebel in you wants
I
to go to
know.
Albania.
Of course I do. I was always like, come on, not Albanians are going to steal you out of your bed while you're sleeping. But, I think they actually do. Have you experienced a lot of anti-Muslim sentiments since the recent terrorist attacks?
No, I did. Receive the majority of my life. I mean, the majority of anti-Muslim sentiment I've ever received was prior to 9/11. Believe it or not,
And it was from me.
it was it was you.
Yeah.
But it was my fucking teacher in high school who was like very anti-Muslim.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Dennis Ahern at Fordham Preparatory School.
Oh my God!
He
I bet
hated
he's
the fact
actually
that
in
someone
ISIS now. I bet they like recruited him. I bet he's actually in ISIS.
He was such a
after all that.
fucking little dick. He corrected me. He's my English teacher, and he told me I didn't do a good job delivering a speech, and he failed me on it. And then he wanted to talk to me during office hours, and he goes, Byram, you're not Christian, so you wouldn't know the Our Father or the Hail Mary. The way those are delivered is how you should practice delivering speeches. So I started reciting the Our Father, and I was like, I know the Our Father. It has nothing to do with what my religion is.
Nothing.
I was like, so fun. I was proud of myself I stood up for myself more at 14 years old than I do now at 34, or going to be 34. But yeah, I was thinking about it this morning that someone posted on Facebook that the main guy from the Paris attacks, right?
Yeah.
They knew they got him because, well, maybe it wasn't him because I think they killed him separately. But anyway, they were saying one of the suicide bombers that shot up the place and then blew himself up, they found out who he was because his passport was intact. And one of my friends is actually Catholic, has nothing to do with Islam or anything. And it tends to be someone who's like very anti-Islam anyway.
Yeah.
He goes, I do find it crazy that someone who wants to commit suicide and kill all these people makes it a point to carry his passport with him, and his body is blown up, but his passport isn't. I don't know. I'm not really a big conspiracy theorist, but I'm just kind of like, it's funny how this whole attack happens, and then they're like, all this ISIS activity is happening on Twitter, and everyone's super excited about it. It's like, really? We know these people are using Twitter. We can't fucking geolocate where they are and just blow that shit up. It just seems they have like pictures of like, and the pictures that they show of like the masterminds behind this are these like doofuses who are like standing by like a car and they're holding a copy of the Quran. It looks so staged.
Right. It's like if you can figure out like where I am and how to sell me tampons via Twitter, like why can't you figure out where these fucking terrorists are?
Yeah. I get a photo sent from someone else in the other part of the world, and in my phone it's stored under that location.
Yeah.
Like, photos are tagged with that. So you have a picture of this guy on the side of a road, really cheesy smile, and he's holding a copy of the Quran. Like, this could not be like more staged.
Like, Tikrit, Iraq, like 2013. We're like, I don't know where they are. Where?
Tikrit.
Yeah, I don't know where they are.
Tikrit. No, you're absolutely right, because when I imagine like ISIS mastermind, I imagine like the fucking claw from Inspector Gadget. Like we don't know anything about him except his one claw, and you're like, that guy's fucking cannot, like, the guy's the scariest person alive. This guy looks like fucking Jim Carrey with a tan and a fucked up haircut, and he's holding like a prayer rug and a copy of the Quran, and then he's holding like dynamite that they have in like those old movies where a damsel in distress is tied to a fucking train track.
And a sack of money with a dollar sign on it.
And he has a little mustache. So there are things that are weird about it, but I was actually thinking like I think whoever is a shitty person just is a shitty person and needs to fucking die. Like everyone's religion should just be like, be a fucking good person. And even though like I somewhat follow a religion, I'm all about like, keep your religion to yourself. Religion is something you should practice at home. You shouldn't force upon anyone else. The universal religion should be like, don't be an asshole.
Yes.
So I think that like anytime anyone brings up religion, it's inappropriate. But I was thinking today about like how there's all this like news that's constantly pumped into the airwaves about how this 1% of the world's 1.4 billion Muslims are radical and like hate the West or whatever. And you would think because it's in the news every day that a lot more people would be like fearful of Muslims. But I maybe it's like the caliber of people that I know and associate with.
Right. You also live in like New York, and we live in the Northeast. You know, there are, I think, well, I don't know. I don't fucking know. I learn all my news from Facebook, and Facebook tells me that there's a lot of people out there that are scared of Muslims, but maybe there aren't. I don't fucking know. I don't know anybody that's scared of Muslims.
I'm consistently impressed with how many rational human beings I'm friends with. Like one of my friends is actually super Catholic. She's a Democrat, but she's super religious. Mm-hmm. She posted a picture today of a bunch of Syrian refugee children and said, if you think the life of a fetus matters more than the life of a refugee child, then you need a reality check or something like that.
Right.
Or life of an embryo, or whatever, like pro-life people consider like the inception of life or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was actually shocked because I'm like, this is a woman who's like super religious. So I would imagine she's very pro-life. But I was impressed by that, you know. But it's funny because my aunt, who lives in New York and has a bunch of New York friends, and you would think New York is like very, you know, liberal and like, you know, forward-thinking. She posted something the other day that was related to the attacks and like the Syrian refugees and like how America was established by people seeking, you know, freedom and religious freedom and all that stuff. And her sister-in-law, who again, New Yorker or whatever, wrote, I disagree with you. I think that we should only accept Christians in this country, and Muslim countries should accept their Muslims, and we should keep it that way. And I'm like, wow, my aunt is obviously Muslim. So it's weird that you wrote that.
So, right, you want us to like go back somewhere? Like, what are you trying to say here? Everyone that's here is fine, but nobody else?
Oh, also a funny story. I would say like 2 years ago, one of my friends from BC, who's actually really chill, love her. She has 2 kids. Like, she's a good friend of mine. In the mini feed on the Facebook page, on the Facebook homepage, it showed, you know, like any activity you did that wasn't like an actual post by you. Yeah. So you have that main feed, and then in the top right, you have that mini feed. And it showed that she liked the page that said, all Muslims should die.
Whoops.
And I screenshot it and I sent it to our mutual friends. And I'm like, this is so awkward. Because she's a school teacher. She's a school teacher in fucking Massachusetts. And she has 2 kids. And she has Muslim friends. And I was like, did she like that by mistake?
Yeah.
But it is scary how many people think that way. You do see like a lot of people you wouldn't freely associate with. That's the bad part about social media. There's people who you would never associate with and you want nothing to do with, and then you just see stuff that they share on social media because it bubbles up and it gets shared, and like everyone feels like they have an opinion that they should express, and most people.
And usually their opinions they're just like popping off half-baked because everyone has like super strong emotions in response to something like really horrifying that happens, and we all like just want to like share our like common experience and like share our opinions and make like, you just want to find like, you want to like engage with like the world. But sometimes I think there should be like a waiting period for like sharing your opinion on social media, because it's like, Yeah, like I understand, like maybe like you want to like bulldoze the entire Middle East like right now, but like maybe you should wait like a week before maybe you'll have a little bit more information. I don't know.
The funny thing is, I'm a mix of both, right? Because I'm someone who never knows the full story.
Yeah, me either.
I
Nobody ever can. I don't think any of us do.
Well, I'm talking about in any regard. Like I'm
Yeah, me
someone
either.
who takes sound bites, and I feel like not that I feel like I won't lead a conversation, but I'll like talk about something that I barely understand because other people are talking about it.
Hmm.
So like there's a saying, if you can't explain something easily, you don't really understand it, right?
Right.
And I'm someone who I'll read like headlines, like I'll open up, I still go to AOL.com in the morning to check my AOL email because I'm 75 years old.
Sure. And news is like 8 years old, but
Yeah. And I'll see headlines and I'll like skim them, but because I have like, ADD, I just don't sit there and read through the whole thing and then probably like,
yeah.
click on related links to get the full story. So then like a few hours later, like I'll be walking with someone from work and they'll be like, oh, did you hear about such and such thing? I'm like, yeah. And then rather than say, you know what, I'm going to be honest with you, I barely skimmed the article on it, or
Yeah.
it was on the ticker because I was, watching E this morning and there was a random ticker that popped up on the bottom, and I barely caught the end of it. Um, I don't take enough time to educate myself on what's happening, so I won't lead a conversation by any means. But I can totally see how people will not have the full story, react emotionally,
Hmm.
and feel like they have a stance on it when they don't fully understand what's happening.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I do too. I think every opinion I've ever had has been like pretty much half baked. Like the like time hops or like all when they show you like stuff that you wrote on fucking Facebook 4 years ago. I'm like, wow, I should be put to death. Nothing I say is right. None of my opinions are right. I don't know anything, and I shouldn't really ever say anything. And then, but then I still continue to share my opinions about things like mayonnaise.
It is funny though. I don't know if you've noticed how your posts have evolved and changed. Like I'll go through.
I
So I
don't
think
think
I
mine have. That's the
really
problem. I think I'm just as fucking insipid as I was when I first got on Facebook. It's potentially more so. I feel like
no.
I'm
I
just getting
think
dumber.
your shit is so clever. I think that when I look at stuff that I shared in like, so I signed up for Twitter. Actually, why don't we just cite some examples?
Yeah,
I'm
let's do
gonna
it.
pull up my Twitter page.
Okay.
So I'll read a tweet from when I first started. Uh, which I think, yeah, I joined in April 2009. So let me try to get down here. Wow, I follow Caitlyn Jenner.
Oh wow.
Also, I lost a follower. I wonder who unfollowed me.
Oh, I lose a lot of followers all the time because I think most of my followers are like not real people.
I get unfollowed by people that I know, which I think sucks.
Who?
Now I'm saying like there's been people who, even on like Instagram and stuff, like people that I know that I see pretty often that will just like randomly unfollow me.
It's because they're jealous.
That's what I say.
It's definitely because they're jealous.
Okay, I don't know how to go back farther on here. Like right now, I'm still only in June of 2013.
If Oak was here, he'd be like, "This is good pod."
You think so?
Yeah, because we're both like scrolling through our phones right now. Yeah, I don't understand why I don't get more love on Twitter. I'm fucking hilarious. Nobody ever likes anything.
There's a method to getting more love on Twitter, which you got to follow.
What is that?
So you have to find someone that you like on Twitter. You
Yeah.
have to follow them, like one of their posts, and then retweet it so that they get those attention. They get your attention. You get their attention 3 times pretty quickly, and
Oh,
then that's more. They're more likely to follow you back or like reciprocate a little bit. A lot of times people will just be like, oh, that's pretty funny, and then follow the person, and then maybe like or favorite one of their tweets further down the line when they're like just
hmm.
scrolling through their feed. So there's a method to like the outreach.
Okay. I'm probably not going to do any of that. I
Okay,
did make
so
my go.
my a tweet that I had from February of 2011. Scarlett Johansson has a real fat ass for a white girl. Hashtag 2 hours left in Black History Month. I would never write something like that now.
I know, and is it because it's not, that's like funny, but are you not allowed to say stuff about Black History Month anymore? I actually don't think you care about stuff like that, do you?
Oh, I've never cared about that. No,
I know.
But I think that my style of comedy has become more sophisticated. I feel like after reading stuff, when you post, I think back when social media was like kicking off, right? I'm talking about even after like Friendster and MySpace, but like when Facebook and Twitter and stuff were on the rise, it was fun to just say anything that you were thinking.
Yeah.
And people were excited because it's like, wow, I don't usually get to engage with these like random thoughts and outbursts. So you could say anything, and it's like, oh, that's funny. But I think now that everyone does that and everyone shares each other's thoughts and comments, and like sometimes people plagiarize and set them as their own, I think it's more important than ever to be like a little bit more sophisticated with your humor and try to think of something that no one else would have said.
Yeah.
You know?
I do agree with you that your sense of humor has gotten more sophisticated. And I will hearken to a tweet that was sent out on 11/11. Just blew up my neighbor's car trying to peel a pomegranate. So that is a really high level of sophistication. We're looking at right there. So I agree with your point.
I am very much appreciated.
I'm very much appreciating your things about my tweeting.
Oh, you just retweeted. I like that. You followed my advice.
Fuck yeah. You're the only person I'm going to do it to.
I already follow you.
I'm just about to like all your tweets right now because I forget how funny they are sometimes. I ain't worth liking the tweeting or the tweeter.
Follow you.
I like my sort of sounds a little bit like Bill Cosby in the Jell-O pudding commercials. I am for liking the tweeter.
That reminds me of the Amy Poehler and Tina Fey bit when they were opening for the Golden Globes, and they were talking about Bill Cosby. Like, put the pills in the people.
Yeah.
You put the pills in the people. I had a little bit of a fucking moment where I felt like I was in 2004, because everyone when I woke up this morning was talking about Adele's new album and how it was released today. So I went to Spotify to see if I could just like add it to a playlist so I could listen to it this morning, and it wasn't available on it, right? So I said, okay, not available on Spotify. I guess, I don't know how people are getting this. Yeah. So then I was driving down and I had the radio on and they played Hello. And then afterwards they're like, yeah, Adele's decided not to put her songs on any streaming service because, you don't make money on Spotify, right? Rather than someone spending the full $12, $13 to buy your CD, they're paying Spotify $9 a month and they can listen to your music unlimited, right?
Yep.
Why Taylor Swift's so fucking wealthy.
100%.
Now, I get to work, load up Facebook, and I see people talking about how good the album is. People already have been listening to it. One person's posting a picture while he's having his morning coffee and he's listening to it. And I was just about to comment and be like, how did you get the music if it's not available on Spotify? And then I completely forgot about iTunes and that you could just go to iTunes and like download music. Mm-hmm. I just was so, I for a moment, I swear to God, I wish you could see a screenshot of my computer. I have Amazon.com open right now on Adele 25, and I was about to buy the CD so they would get delivered on Sunday versus thinking of other ways to get the CD.
But you're actually going to buy a physical CD?
I don't want to. That's what's bothering me.
Why would you ever do that?
Because how else? I mean, that was before I remembered that you could buy music on iTunes.
It's like you're trapped in like 1999.
I know, but here's the other thing that's really stressing me out.
Yeah.
That is the thing that's really stressing me out is that when Target releases a CD, they always have a partnership with the artist. There's like Target exclusive tracks. So
right.
Target has the album with an additional 3 tracks you can only get if you buy the physical CD at a Target store.
But then what do you do do you play it in your car? No, you just got a new car. There's no way it has a CD player in it, does it?
It doesn't have a CD player, no.
No,
or maybe
it just plays songs from the internet. There's no such thing as CD players anymore. They're a myth.
I do have a cassette single which has survived like a house fire, college.
Oh man, I had an SWV cassette single. I wonder where that is now.
Oh,
I know, it was such a good one. Sisters with Voices.
oh,
I bought it at a mall. I watched it
you
in
know what my
DC.
cassette single was?
What?
Do you remember that song Jellyhead by Crush?
Absolutely not.
Oh man, it's such a good song. It's my pick of the week. Do we do picks of the week on this side project?
I don't think so. Do I have a pick? Oh, you know what my pick of the week is? Actually, I'm not. I'm actually on the fence. It's not a pick of the week yet. It's an on the fence. But The Master of None, the Aziz Ansari show. Have you watched this?
No, but I loved your tweet, your text on Sunday. You're like, how does one watch this? And then Jen goes, Netflix downstairs, and you're like, they have a horrible SEO strategy.
Yeah,
And it's
I would
on
search
Netflix.
Masters of NON, and it still like didn't come up. I couldn't find how to find Masters of None on Netflix, so it like really needs to have a better SEO strategy. But I didn't like the first episode, but I realized I somehow like watched the whole season without paying attention. And I think I liked it as it started to go on. I just like Aziz Ansari's jokes for me a lot of the times. Like as soon as he starts to say something, I know exactly how he's gonna finish.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of annoys me because I'm like, okay, I get it. But the show, it's good. There's a lot of like, he does a really great one about the different experiences of brown people trying to get jobs on television. I think that's a good one. He does a one about like a woman, like an experience of a woman walking home from a bar and like men walking home from a bar. I thought that was really interesting. The difference. So I think he's like making good commentary.
There's so much that happens. There's so much good TV that people swear by that I just like the more and more of it that, it just creates this giant queue that I know I'll never get to.
Yeah, that's how I feel
you
too.
know?
Like Broad City, I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna watch that. There's like so many difficult people I love, but it's like I've only watched the first 3 episodes because there's like so many other shows.
Difficult People's on Hulu, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know how to get that. You have to pay for that?
No.
Is that on the
It's on-
Hulu?
It's on the Hulu. You go to go to Hulu.com, and then you're looking for the shows on there.
All right, Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
I really like Billy Eichner, so I want to watch
too.
Difficult People.
It's a
I
good
think
show.
he's
I
very
really
smart.
like it. The writing's really good. Yeah, he's really smart. It's good. It's like the first. I'm like, ooh, because the show's basically like about me, but they're more successful than I am.
I do need to watch that. That's actually gonna, so Master of None. I've been like, that'll be nice to get around to. I just
Yeah.
figure it out one day. But Difficult People, I need to make it a point to watch because I've never seen Community. This is really when you know how bad it is. I've never watched a full episode of The Office.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't watched it in forever. And I was never like an Office follower. I was never like an Office disciple.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I liked it. It was really good.
You know how like everyone for a while was on, and even when the fourth season was released for Arrested Development, when it was on like Netflix, everyone was like talking about it. It's one of those things that I own the DVD collection of Arrested Development and have never watched it. And so when that fourth season was released and everyone went crazy and everyone's like, I'm binge watching it. And then they would like reference certain things that are Arrested Development humor.
Yeah.
I'd like pretend to know what they were because it's easier than not knowing and acknowledging the fact that you've never seen it.
Yep, totally. Yeah, I didn't know what everyone was always talking about Never Nudes, and I like was always like, ha ha ha, Never Nude, and I didn't actually see the Never Nude episode until like 4 years after. Arrested Development is great. I highly recommend watching it. I love those shows because it just makes me feel better about my like own sense of humor. Because sometimes I'm like, I'm crazy, my shit's too offensive. It's like it's never gonna work, and then I'll watch shows like that, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, they're way more offensive than I am.
I do need to watch more comedy though, because I feel like I'm someone who thinks that I'm funny and tries to be funny, but I don't really do enough to get
funny.
inspired by it. But I feel like I can't imagine that there's so much out there in terms of comedy, and reality TV has really fucked me up. because I
Yeah.
don't have the attention span, right? So I'd much rather sit on my couch and rewatch the same episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians because it's like I don't have to think. It's just on, and then you see like nice cars, nice houses, pretty women. Like it just like everything's super flashy, right?
Yeah.
And then your alternative is to watch like fucking Mindy Kaling, who's probably funny, but it's like,
Yeah.
you know, Liz, I have to take
know.
the biggest shit right now.
I know. I kind of did too. All right.
let's
I'm glad we
poop.
did this. Let's go poop.
Yeah, let's do side projects and coming in sideways. Let's make it a thing.
I love it. Perfect. Twice a week. Let's do it up.
All right, boo boo, I love you.
Boo boo. I love you.